If you stopped posting tomorrow for a week, for a month, who would notice? Because you add something people actually look forward to. Today, we're talking about opportunities, real opportunities. By the way, this is my first LinkedIn Live, so we are growing together. I would have never imagined doing this. A few years ago, I didn't just evade social media, I panicked at the thought. And social media is powerful, good and bad. I have seen educators lose their jobs for a post on Facebook. Iced tea, but pretended it was an alcoholic drink. Halloween. I had this belief a dumb post on my part is a permanent post on their end. Yeah, not for me. What got me to have a change of heart, I mentioned about this in the book. A guy on a plane urged me to do it. Get on LinkedIn, he said. On what? He wrote it on a napkin. I lurked for an entire year. Scared. What did I do? Decided to learn and gave myself permission to make mistakes. I tried many different things. That passenger was a person who crossed my path to help me see the good of social media. I chose one space, LinkedIn, and that decision opened doors, international speaking invitations, collaborations. But here's what I discovered engagement didn't come from posting more. I did that. Master of mistakes here. It came from writing differently, engaging, connecting, reaching out, making the ask, and reciprocity. Now, engagement is when someone reads your post and feels seen. Several people reached out to me and they said they loved reading my posts because they understand my writing. True. I don't use idioms or slang terms, and I do that on purpose because I want to speak internationally. So, who is your client? The more you think about them in your writing, the more you use their wording, they will come and stay. So, tell me in the comments what industry are you in? Who knows? Maybe I can connect you. So, if you're in healthcare, if you're in education, if you're in entrepreneurship, your next post should solve one real problem that industry is facing this week and speak the way they would. I tried volume, but it didn't work. That English saying of tossing spaghetti and see what sticks, it's relevance and consistency. Now, relevance to your reader. Let me give you an example that changes everything. Here's a recent post that I saw. It was an honor to interview the superintendent of the year on my podcast yesterday. I had so much fun and learned a lot. Okay, now think about the Super Bowl. What if you waited a day after the game and started to give play by play to someone? Their answers? Just give me the score or tell me who won. Try this post. How can schools engage families in a way that builds community and joy? Community? Joy? In school? Now people are curious. Then you say, tomorrow I'm interviewing the superintendent of the year, and we're sharing three strategies to bring in the parents and have a positive time. Curiosity first, announcement second. If you're a parent, a teacher, a school leader, a community member, this talk is for you. That is blot, bottom line on top. Lead with value. And the blot format came from a good friend, Glenna. There is another blot that I use called the storytelling blot. Storytelling blot stands for B, background, L, lead moment, O, outcome, T, takeaway. It's a simple structure that helps you turn lived experience into meaningful content, especially for LinkedIn articles, keynotes, grant writing, really anything longer than a short post. By the way, I was accepted for every magazine article I submitted in 2025. The same for grant proposals, won them all. So let me walk you through it. B, background. This is where you set the scene. Where are we? What is happening? Who's involved? Keep it light. Just enough details so people can picture it. Example: years ago, I would have been the last person to go live on LinkedIn. Lead moment. This is the turning point, the tension, the moment something shifts. It's a sentence that makes people lean forward. Example: I was petrified of social media because I saw how powerful one post could be. Outcome: it would be what happened next, what changed, what did you do? Example: I use one platform. I studied writing using the blot format. I learned how to frame value. Takeaway: this is where you land the plane. It's an idiom that means where you get to the point. What does this mean for the reader? Example: visibility grows when clarity meets courage, meaning that I know where I want to go, and now I am brave enough to go forward because I stalled for a while here. That's storytelling blot. It keeps you from rambling and gets helps you get to the point. Um, Trying to gather my thoughts here. Now, I'm going to talk about the newsletter, the LinkedIn newsletter. It is indexed by Google. That means your ideas travel. It's a low hanging fruit. And the idiom means it's easy, it is within reach. Anyone can do this. So when you write the newsletter to share a story with your client in mind, make sure you write your bio and act as if that person is reading it for the first time. Maybe people have subscribed and they forget whether you're writing it once a week or you're writing it once a month. And it can be just a simple text. And over time, you can add images, you can add illustrations, photos, videos, and you can keep building. And what I discovered, it's the consistency. I had an international speaking opportunity. Actually, I'll be speaking in Vienna next month, and that opportunity came to me from a LinkedIn newsletter article. Another way where you can use LinkedIn is consider asking and being generous with your recommendations. I wrote a recommendation a year ago after I spoke at an event and I raved about the event planner. Someone else reached out to me and she said, do you always write recommendations about the event planner? And I said, yes. Well, up to that point, I was like, oh, what an idea. Yes, I'm going to do this. And now I would reach out to them. Sometimes I don't know the profile because they have a different name or they were married and the name changed, or a few people are not on LinkedIn. But I reach out to them at the end and say, hey, would you want to connect on LinkedIn? Would you like me to give you a recommendation? Like it's like something very unusual. Consider giving them and asking for them. You coach, you spoke, and somebody says, that was so amazing. And you can say, would you be willing to put that on LinkedIn recommendation? Make it easy for them. You can go to your profile and click on ask for recommendation and send it to them. It's just easy. Another thing that I found is every time I am on a Zoom, a virtual Zoom, a training, and usually, obviously, you can see the text. And sometimes they say, well, drop your LinkedIn profile. I'm a Mac user, so I would hit Command and I will do a different screen. And I will reach out to try to get at least 5 people and say, I will connect with them on the LinkedIn. And then this is how I'd say, would you, by the way, I'm with you on this training or this summit or whatever it is. I would love to connect and would be happy to be an accountability pal. And what I found is that a lot of the time, years ago, I've gone to amazing conferences, and a year later, I have done nothing differently. Like I leave inspired. This is amazing. This is cool. This is a game changer, but nothing happens. But the moment I started reaching out to people and saying, let's become accountability pal and just do this particular thing, that not only you learn together, you grow, the other person will share insight that maybe you didn't capture in your writing. Also, you become your relationship deepens and you can exchange. One trip that I got to Canada was from my accountability pal, exchanging value. But always what I notice is always people reach out thinking, what can you do for me? The minute you switch that, for me, is how can my mission is I want to bring value everywhere I go. And I will share everything. I would ask, would you be willing to write a recommendation, or would you share something like, let's exchange knowledge? But if the person is not interested and they're happy and say, oh, that was great, without, thank you. And you pay attention to these minute details. Okay, you asked for one thing, or could you write the recommendation? And that's okay. You let go, but it's about reciprocity. Think about somebody does something for you, think how can you reciprocate. I'll give you an example. A few years ago, I had a photographer. She came and did a whole photo shoot free of charge. And so the way I reciprocated is to give her credit for all her photos, but to me that's not enough. So the end of that year, I won a grant. I hired her to do photo shoot. I didn't need the photos, but I hired her because I had the funding. So when I wrote the grant, I included her in that grant. Think about reciprocity, and you will be amazed at the changes and the opportunities that will open. When I'm on a Zoom, what I do is, so let's do that blot again. The background, I was on a Zoom with 400 people. Lead moment. I realized I could sit quietly or build a relationship in real time. Outcome. I opened a second window and I do a command and then ask for to connect with them. And think about, you know, how do you, like I said, about bringing in value. By the way, this is hard when you are talking to yourself. Would love to see text or like a chat, but anyway, I'm going to end before I end up rambling. If this brought value and you learn anything, let me know. If not, I will learn, I will get better, and until next time. Now, let's see, how do I turn this off? Okay, end stream. Bye bye.